My first confession is actually that I'm a qualified accountant, so you'd think that I was perfectly capable of looking after my own financial and business affairs. Well, I've been made redundant twice, and I've also had my own business go bust. So of course my training told me that budgets and financial plans were of the utmost importance. What they don't tell you is that financial shocks come along a lot more often than you might think. Now, when Lehman Brothers went down in 2008, I could almost tell you the exact date, my hotel in Dover saw an immediate drop in its sales of about 35%. I still don't know why a financial bank in New York affects a hotel in Dover, but my experience is that it did, because it just carried on dropping for the next 18 months. And so finally, in January 2010, we had to pull the plug, and I made 56 people redundant, one of whom was myself. Overnight, I went from earning something like £60,000 a year to less than £60 a week job seekers allowance. My house had been pledged to the bank as part of the funding that we'd done in expanding the business over the previous 10 years. And I had a wife who was at university training to be a teacher, and 3 children under the age of 10. So, what stopped me dropping into depression and poverty? Because that's generally what can happen faced with those sort of circumstances. The answer is my church. And my church gathered round me at that time. So my vicar used his connections to get me a house that I could afford. Members of the church came and volunteered and decorated with me. And every week, people gathered round us, not in a pitying way, but in a supportive way, to make sure that we were all right and getting by. And a friend of mine, who also goes to the same church, said, "Why don't you try painting and decorating with me?" Well, after you've been an accountant for 30 years, painting and decorating probably isn't your career choice. But that's what I did, because going and doing something gets you moving, gets you out of the house, gives you back that respect and everything. So throughout that time, it was essential that I had a tight grip on finances. And actually, it's relatively easy to do when you've little money coming in and you're not spending much going out. And so many people on low incomes, you need to remember, they probably have a greater awareness of their financial position than people with disposable income. But as my income increased again and I had a bit more money to spend, guess what happened? I keep a very detailed spreadsheet of my ins and outs, and it grew to over 100 lines. My wife operates on one with no lines, but somehow she gets by. Now, actually, as your finances get more complicated, so you've got to find a way of dealing with that. And actually, I found through doing some of the financial management courses and delivering those, that many newlywed couples find that equally as hard, that when they suddenly get together with a partner and they're living in a house and now they're trying to manage a household budget, and it gets complicated. So at that point, actually, what I did, I went along to a CAP money course, so big shout out to CAP. Even though I was delivering a money course myself, my real reason was to see what you were up to and where I could pinch any ideas. One of the ideas I pinched was for my own financial management, and that's to sort of concentrate all your regular outgoings in one account and move your spare cash into another one. That, for me, I have to say, was a revelation. And CAP did say to me, the trainer, that most lawyers and accountants he'd come across overcomplicate their finances. So that was a bit, not humiliating, but it just kept me on that right level. So at the moment, once more, I think I can relax a bit and enjoy what money I do have, because I can see it's tightly controlled and away in the separate bank account. So what can churches and ourselves as Christians learn from this? Well, I think things like budgets and financial management and even money courses, they are tools in a tool bag. And just like the handyman needs to know which tool to pull out and what to do with it, so I think that actually that's what we've got to be doing as churches. So there's lots of things you can do and tools you can have in your bag. But can we be the handyman who's actually sorting out which tool it is? Now, the only way you can do that really is if you know the people. So for me, the most important thing in my experience was actually that my church gathered round in a relationship with me. So if you start thinking that all you have to do is give somebody a voucher and say, go to CAP, go to the food bank, go to the money advice centre, I think you're missing the trick. So the other thing is that the engagement of people with budgeting and money courses and financial literacy is really, really low. And the problem is really, really big. So if there's any way that we can get those conversations going, and if you can start them in your church and say, let's everybody in our congregation come and look at money, that gets away from stigmatizing anybody and making it as though you have to be in financial difficulty in order to go to a money course. So the most important solution for me is the caring relationship. The most important tool in the tool bag, I think, is this one here, which is your ear. And if you can listen to people and build a relationship, I think that's the start of building people back to financial strength.